All right, we are going to have a wonderful podcast episode today. I have another amazing guest who I got to know through a mastermind that I did last year. Her name is Tara Leson, and she is a systems and automations expert. She specializes in combining systems and automations with strategy. So she's very passionate about helping female entrepreneurs get back time through implementing the proper systems and automation so they can make impact with their business and in their life, all while continuing to make sales, which is the vital part we need in business. If we're not making sales, do we really have a business? And I know there's ebbs and flows to all these seasons, but with what you do, Tara, I know that this just makes it so much easier when you have that flow and that. So thank you so much for being a guest today. And let's just kind of get started. I want to hear your story. What got you into what you're doing and where you're at today?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. So it's interesting because I didn't not start in systems and automations and strategy. My first business was actually in fitness, and I started doing that I was a nurse and I started my fitness business. I wanted to get out of nursing. Um, And initially, well, it wasn't even getting out of nursing. It was more I wanted to pursue fitness because it was something that I had wanted to do for years and years. So it started off as that. And, as time went on, I it was something that I really wanted to do was run my own business. And I couldn't do that and be a nurse and, take care of all of the things at home. I do have two kids and a family and all of that. So it couldn't be everything. You can't do it all.
Mhm.
Um, so that's kind of where my entrepreneurship journey started, I guess you could say. And from there, I really got into doing systems and automations and strategy with my own business. You know, I was in some coaching programs. I didn't initially, when I started my business, I didn't know about the whole coaching industry. I didn't know that that was a thing. I never started my business knowing that like business coaches and that kind of thing existed. It was more just like this was something that I wanted to do. And, I really wanted to help women find a better way to incorporate fitness and all of that into their lives. That's why that initially started. But when I was building that business, it was something that I realized the systems and automations and strategy was something that was really missing. And through the coaching programs that I had taken, there was a gap with that part of it. And it was, not so much that you needed more offers or more, messaging help necessarily. It's not always those things that you need to refine. It is the systems and the automations, and how are we actually going to put these things in place so that you can get time back, so that you can focus on why you started your business, working with your clients, making the impact that you actually want to make. That's why you started. And then being able to actually be present in your life outside of your business.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree with that. I love hearing people's stories, and yours is kind of the same way where you started in one thing because you had this
Mhm.
idea of like, I want to do something other than just work in healthcare and spend so much time away from my family. And you were initially drawn to fitness. I think I kind of met you around this era of your life where you
Yeah.
were running and operating your fitness business. You were also doing some type of business strategy, coaching or services on the side of that. I mean, I can't imagine trying to juggle two different things and
Hmm.
working a full-time job and being a mom and doing all those things. So I know that was a lot for you to do, but just kind of seeing your transition of as you were in this, you saw this need of it's not really an offers problem. It's not really, the fact that you are not doing the right things. It's just the system that brings people to you, that
Hmm.
helps them see what your services can do, try them out, get enough information to make that decision. That piece was missing. So
Yes.
kind of talk through, like, for someone who is not really sure about all the systems and all the automations yet, what are some really good things to start looking at and paying attention to?
Yeah. So what I really think about is there's a few different things. When we look at it in terms of, I think the easiest one for most people to relate it to is looking at one of your offers. So, how do we look at that and create automations that, creates a system so that when people are landing on your content, it guides them into your business instead of just seeing your content and them not knowing where to go, them just giving it a like and then moving on. It actually brings them into your business. So you're providing them with a lead magnet that they actually want to get into, that is actually bringing them value. And this is like a huge part of this, not just throwing out random lead magnets that are just like, I hope someone opts into this just to get them on my email list. Like, that's not the point of it. It has to be very intentional. Because if you want people that are quality leads to get onto your email list and then potentially become a client, you have to provide value through that initial lead magnet. So that's the first thing. And really thinking about how this relates to your offer. So you take the one offer, you get this lead magnet that provides them value. It gives them a little taste of what they're getting in this offer that you're wanting to drive them towards. Then setting up the email automations on the back end that's going to nurture them, that's going to, let them know what you do and really let them know about you, connect with them, and just like be a human though. That's what I feel is also missing from this whole thing. And it is a big something that I really stress is like not these, it's not automations in the way of we think of it as being like robotic. It's very much personal connection. And I really stress that you need to automate tasks rather than your connections. So, yes, it's automating the emails on the back end, but there's one thing that I have said I won't automate, which is ManyChat. That's one that I don't actually love because with the follow up, with all of that, you can create the big strings of conversation and stuff. But I do think that it's very important that you go and talk to people as a human.
Mhm.
So when you're looking at this, you can have the emails on the back end that are nurturing people, but also you have tagged this person so you know that they're interested in this thing. You can still do personalized follow up and you can ask them like how is this going? How did this help you out? Really creating that connection, and you link in your sales page to the emails so that they can go onto your sales page, they can make a purchase. You have automated onboarding so you're not sending out all of the links manually. I was talking to a client the other day and I asked her about her onboarding process, and it was like three different emails. She had to send out the payment link. Then, when someone finally paid, it was three different emails, getting them into the app, getting that like it's all of these things where you could make it so that someone clicks pay. They are sent the emails that they need, all of the information that they need. They're sent into the app that they need to get set up with. And this was a fitness client, but they're sent into this app, they're given their program, and you just start. You can start working together, and it's not so much that you're having to do. So that's really how you can look at it with systems and in terms of like getting your time back.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you have taken the time to really kind of explain how all that pieces together, because like you said, it's not so much about taking the communication, that one-to-one communication with a potential client out of the
Hmm.
equation. It's just all the little tasks that you have to do. I mean, I
Yeah.
know on my end where I don't have a lot of clients that come in and out, so it's not something that is like I'm juggling a lot of things, but I know that when I do have a client come on board, there's this checklist of stuff that I have to
Yeah.
send them. That contract, a link to schedule their consultation, a questionnaire
Hmm.
to complete out. And when you could take those all those little steps of what you would have to set and add into an email and do all this and just have it automated where you kind of click one thing, it gets them through that sequence
Yeah.
and you're good to go. I think having that forethought to set those things up, it's just going to save you time, which
Yeah.
is what we all kind of want in our business, where we're not like, I feel like I'm the VA of myself and having to do all
Yeah.
the weekend tasks, you know. And if you're not at the point yet of having to pay for a VA or outsource all that, I think this way of automations and systems is a great way to go. And not to think of automations as I'm completely taking myself out and letting a computer do all of
Hmm.
this. It's like, yes, the computer does manage things, but you're freed up so you can have those conversations with people.
Exactly.
So I think that's a really great way of looking at systems. Like they're not something to be scared about. There's
Hmm.
actually something to truly help you be more efficient
Yeah.
and have that time back to, I want to actually talk to these people. There's times where I get in DMs and I'm thinking, I could type and say something, but I'd rather just send a quick voice note.
Yeah.
And in times when I get that from someone, I'm like, wow, they actually took the time to hit the record button and talk to me. I get to hear their
Yes.
voice. I love that part about it. And I will share this experience that I had. I recently got introduced to someone and I was like, okay, you've got to get me something where I can go and meet this person because they were talking her up. So I went to her website, absolutely loved how it was laid out, loved what she was talking about and doing. And she had this cool little feature of how to contact her. Instead of
Hmm.
filling out a form or anything, it was like, hey, send me a voice note. You
Yeah.
had like a minute and a half to send a little quick voicemail, and she would respond. And she responded with a simple email, and it had a video of her talking directly to me, where she had just recorded it on her own time and sent that. And I'm like, that is an awesome way to get to know potential people through your website. I was like, however she found that to do that was amazing because I just like
Mm.
there was such a personal touch. But I know a lot of it was set up that way. That was her system that was
Yeah.
automated to be able to do that. So I think you could probably touch on there's lots of different ways to set up systems based on how do you want to interact with people? What's going to be
Yes.
your best practice?
Yes. And that it's so true. And like I I love that because I feel like that, the whole personal connection thing was missing for a while. I don't know if you felt that too, but I feel like we kind of got away from a lot of that and people were getting so much into, don't ask questions, don't, you know, you should just be all in right away and you shouldn't have to ask anything about a program. It just should be like, you go into it and you shouldn't need to talk to anyone and da da da. When you are wanting someone to pay you like thousands of dollars for something, the least you can do is talk to them.
Mhm.
And I think even though we are on the other side of a screen or a phone or whatever it is, there's still a human on the other side of that. And it's so important to build that connection because you're helping a real person. This is not like, it's not a computer that you're helping. So it really is putting in these systems and automations to take away the tasks so that you can create that connection. And like you said, this person that had this set up, she likely did have the process automated so that when up until the point that you got or she got your voice note, it was probably all automated. She got that notification and then created the video, sent it back to you,
Mhm.
and that's a great way to do it because the little tasks in there you don't have to be doing those. There's no reason for like her to have to be waiting for someone to message her on her website, like sitting there watching for the message to come in. You don't have to do that, right? But having it set up so that you get the notification and then you can go reply as a person, like that's amazing. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, yeah. I was kind of just blown away by how personal it really felt. Like I'm literally
Hmm.
taking time to talk to someone and sending them a note. It's not going to show up in her inbox like, oh, this is some spam thing where someone's like, hey, I've seen your stuff. I can help you 10x your followers, blah, blah, blah. I've gotten those emails and you just
Yep.
immediately are delete. They're not genuine, you know. And so it does bring about that personal connection. I do believe that as you were talking about, there seemed to be that gap where it just didn't seem like it existed for a while. And
Hmm.
I think that's because there was such a rise of like, let's utilize technology, let's do
Yeah.
this, and let's just send a bunch of emails and kind of sell people through the copy. And, copy is great, but you still have to have that personal touch.
Yeah.
You still have to do something, even if it's a video of you that's pretty generic, but just kind of saying welcome, hello, giving information. I think that's even still valuable because I've been in things with, um, well, I'm trying to think of what it was. It was this gentleman who he had a system, like something that he sold that would help people to increase their income. He had a course, he had all this different stuff going on. And his emails weren't just a plain email. About every email had a video attached, like, go and listen to this. And it was just him talking straight to you.
Hmm.
And it's like, even though he was this high level entrepreneur, he still incorporated that personal level of connection with
Yeah.
people. That you could listen to him on a webinar, you could watch his video, and it wasn't so so much of a gap between like, oh, well, he's this high level CEO. I'll probably never see him
Yeah.
in these courses. It's like, no, you see him even in the emails. His son was part of the program, and the son was like his name was on the bottom of the email, and it's like, hey, you've got to watch this video. This video is for you. I think when you just add that element of having voice to voice conversations or video conversations or things like that, it helps us in that online space not feel like we're just living a virtual reality. We're just
Hmm.
like shopping on Amazon or something. It's like our
Yeah,
businesses, when they're
exactly.
service based and we're working one on one with people, it's not Amazon. It's not like they just go and buy something and it shows up in the mail and they have it. For us, it's they come to us, they're like, I really want to know if I'm going to get this value from you.
Yeah.
And then when I'm working with you and talking to you about stuff that you understand it, you get it. And by the time I have this finished product, I'm really, really happy with it because it's not like you can get a refund all the
Yeah.
time with a service-based business. It's just, we put in our time, we put in our effort and all of these things and our knowledge that we have, that's what's getting paid for. And you want to make sure that you're investing in something, someone who can help you accomplish what you want.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I so agree with that because it's just always remembering that it is humans that we're talking to. Like it's not just computers. Yes, we are interacting with devices and on computers, but there really is a human on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I feel like I have to even tell my boys this because they love being on the computer. They love watching their videos and playing their games. And I was like, at the end of the day, you haven't really actually done anything. Like
Yes.
you've been living in a virtual reality,
Yeah.
either watching a movie or a show or playing a video game. I'm like, you're not really connecting with people. Like, yes, on some games they do talk to their friends and do things like that, but you sometimes walk away and you're like, what did I do? Like, have I done anything? Whereas,
Hmm.
like, we're having this conversation on a podcast. I'm like, I'm getting to see you face to face. I'm getting to talk with you.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not in person, but there is such a personal element to this. I know that you're another entrepreneur and a mom, just like me, working on your business, learning about the automations and realizing that this is something people need. I figured this out. I can help them plan this out. Let
Yeah.
me offer this. So just understanding that, I think no matter where we are in our journeys, like where you started with doing fitness and doing other things, it got you into that space, but you were able to learn something and do things for yourself and create things that you needed. And you're
Hmm.
able to kind of now turn back around and like, okay, I've done this. I can help you do this too. I always think that's so fun when it's like we've been through something, we've learned all
Yeah.
the things. You're like, now I can teach it to everybody else and make that impact.
Yes.
It's like if you learn it and you're good at doing it, the best thing you can do is to turn around and to teach somebody else and to help somebody else with those things too. Because, if you struggled with it to begin with, most likely there's a bunch of us out there that are struggling with that too.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people do struggle with the tech. I hear this all the time that people do not like it and that it is a big struggle and something that like nobody likes to do. I don't think anyone really got into their business thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have to, send a bunch of emails or set up landing pages or sales pages or all of this back end stuff. So, yeah, I don't think anyone likes it, but it is something that I really enjoy. And so I do it for other people
Yeah.
when they don't like it.
And that's awesome. We need people like that. I literally had a friend who we've kind of swapped some services with each other, and I told her, I'm like, you know how much an email list would just really help you because you've already been in contact with so many people, and if you have their
Hmm.
information, that's stuff sitting there that you could continue nurturing them through an
Yep.
email. Let them know when you have an event going on. Let them know when you're doing something or offering a discount on your one-on-one sessions or something. And she was like, okay, I'll try to figure this out. And there were a couple moments where she would message me. She's like, I am so frustrated with this. She's like, I cannot figure it out. I want to almost just burn it down and start over
Yep.
or just not do this. I'm like, no, 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 it's okay. You can
Yep.
do this. This will be so worth it. And the other day I touched base with her and I was like, how's it going? She's like, I'm going to send out my first email today. I was like, yay, this is great. I'm like, I'm so glad that whatever has happened since our last conversation, you've got this smoothed over and you're actually able to start sending out some emails. She's like, I'm putting
Yeah.
in all my contacts right now and I'm going to send out my first email. I'm like, great. This is great. I'm like, you
Hmm.
don't realize how valuable this is. You have a list of people. You've either
Yeah.
done services for them already, they know who you are, but this is a way that you can just be in contact with them again and
Exactly.
again on your time. You don't have to have a set, I got to send one out every week. Just send them out when you're ready to. Like, just
Yep.
you're getting started, you're figuring all of this out. I did recommend to her, like, it being your first one, if you can set up an automation, I know that might be a little bit new, but it's like if you get to the point where you're thinking about doing that, send out your first welcome email. After you've created that, let that be an evergreen thing. So whenever ever new
Yeah.
people come, they get that welcome. They get the introduction because she was like, I'm so new to this. I don't even know what to do. What
Yeah.
type of email to send? I was like, well, make
Yep.
sure we kind of introduce them, let them know who you are. Have a couple emails like that where they just get a sense of what you're doing, who you are, what value you can add, and then go from there. Like
Yeah.
you build it as you go. You build
Yeah.
so much as you go, and then you realize I built all this. Now, how can I have a system where I don't even have to recreate all this again?
Yeah.
That's where they can come to you for that.
Exactly. And I think too, it's, when people think about it, I think a lot of times they put so much pressure on themselves to make it perfect. And they
Mhm.
want to create these emails that are like this huge thing. And, when you're questioning, what should I put in there and what should I write? But it's really, it doesn't have to be so much pressure and it doesn't have to be this hugely perfect, curated thing. Just like speak from yourself. Just talk to people.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be something that is, we see all these emails that's clearly email copy, and you don't have to do that. You just have to talk in your voice. You just have to tell people what you want to say. That's all that it has to be. And I think when you start looking at it that way, it becomes a lot easier. It takes that pressure off, and you really just, what do I want to say today? What do I want to write in this email? How do I want to welcome people in? What do I want to tell them about myself?
Yeah. I think that's I like when it relieves pressure because then
Yeah.
I feel like it makes the marketing just that much more joyful and
Hmm.
exciting to do instead of thinking, oh, I have this one email or these couple emails it's going to go out in a sequence and they have to be just right because I really
Yeah.
want them to convert. It's like, don't stress yourself.
No,
Realize that if you just be you, the right people are going to convert into your clients. You're not going to
exactly.
force it. There's probably a million different ways that you could write copy, and there are people that do excellent work with helping with copy, but they're there to help you put your stuff into better words. Like
Hmm.
you have a hard time articulating what it is that I do, my story, all these things, they're there to help you create that. But I think,
Yeah.
and they want to capture your authentic voice as much as possible. So even if you can't get started with someone who can do that for you, if you just start and write and like all these things as you're creating them and putting them out there to automate them, once you have that done and down the road, you're like, I could do that better. I have a different way of talking to people now. You can go back and edit it. It's still
Yeah.
there in that system. And you're
Yeah.
just like, I can go back and edit this and tweak it, but it's all still going to be there, constantly going in an evergreen cycle out to new
Hmm.
leads that are coming in. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's one and done and it's forever frozen that way. It's changeable. You can go back, you can edit, you can go back, tweak, you can make it better if down the
Hmm.
road you're like, I want to put a video in my welcome email, or I want to add this, or I have a new resource, just keep up with what you've got out there, and then go back and change and update things
Yeah.
as you feel like it. Yeah,
Yeah. And the biggest tip that I have for that is always create templates out of your emails because that's the one thing I see people missing this all the time. And then they're like, oh, now what do I do? And I'm like, no, from the very first email, just create a template. Just create a template. Because then, too, if you're adding in your logo, if you're adding in your signature, you're adding in colors, however you're formatting it, it's done the first time and you don't have to redo it over and over and over every single time. Saves you a ton of time. And if it is your welcome email, just like you said, all that you need to do then is when you want to go back and refine it, that's all you have to do is go back and tweak it a bit, refine it a bit, but you don't have to like rewrite it every time.
yeah, yeah. I have template emails that I use, and every
Hmm.
time I'm like, I like how this looks. I save that as a template so I can just go back, add or delete
Yeah.
things, and it's definitely a time saver. I had a client that I worked with, and she wanted to set up her email automations, and so she had a previous platform that she used and her emails went out that way, and I was like, you already kind of have this look from your previous emails, and we want to make this new platform look very similar. So I just created her a template that looked exactly like
Hmm.
that, and I'm like, here, when you go in there, instead of going to from scratch or brand new, go to my templates, click on yours, and just start from there. It's already got
Yeah,
everything in there, has your signature, has your logo, all those things. So yes, I agree, that is such a time saver, and once you do that, you're just like, hit it and forget it. Like it's there. If I
exactly.
need to change it down the road, I can change it. But then you're not always grabbing like a pre-made template and then you got to change out every single photo or every
Hmm.
single color or all of this stuff and start over. So yeah, that is a fantastic, fantastic tip for everyone. So thank you so much, Tara, for being on this podcast with me and sharing so many good things from your story to some great tips to think about when it comes to systems and automations, and even the tip of saving your templates. you know, there's lots of great things to be learned, and I'm sure that you share even more strategies and ideas and hacks and things in your Instagram, your TikTok, and so many different places, even in your own email list. I know because I've
Hmm.
started getting that too. But I will have all of those links in the show notes for anyone who wants to go and check out Tara and see what it is she does and learn from those things, or even have her set up your automations and business systems so that you have a better strategy moving forward to keep clients coming in the door and getting to know you so they can make that decision to work with you. So thank you so much, Tara.
Thank you. I have very much enjoyed this conversation and being on your podcast. So thank you so much.
All right, thanks.